Hey everyone, welcome to Not Keeping It Real. I'm David Crane along with Tony Gavon. How's your week been, Tony?
It's been, for the most part, pretty good. The last couple of days have been kind of rough, but more good than bad.
I hear that. We're both still in school, so like me, it's midterm time. Like I think I have like 13 pages to write like in 4.5 days. So that's why I didn't give a shit about what was going on here today. So,
You don't know what hard
put it
times
on my
are, Daddy.
face. What?
That's basically what I was getting at. You don't know what hard times are, baby.
I know hard times, man. I lost like $200 on my AMC stock. So not quite. I'm still up, but it's not quite the Cameron Grimes life right now. I guess this is our running joke about me talking about Cameron Grimes, but hey, he's very charismatic. I just, even if he's not wrestling, he's in the back of my mind somewhere. So, uh, anyway, let's see. So we're supposed to talk about a lot. Did you watch the Synder cut?
I watched about 2 hours of it, but no,
I
I
hear
did not watch the entire thing.
You did not watch the entire thing.
Not yet, no. It's one of those things to where I'll say this much. I wish they had done it in parts because
they did do it in parts, but like, I know what you mean.
I meant formally, like, okay, week 1 you get the first hour, week 2 you get the second, week 3 you get the third, and by week 4 you get the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like
something else we're reviewing this week.
What?
Kind of like something else we're reviewing this week.
Oh, Fastlane maybe, or
no, Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier. Something.
Falcon.
Soldier's amazing, but anyway, it's got MCU right next to it, so obviously it's good.
No, as we've seen before, just putting that doesn't make it a winner.
Examples?
WandaVision.
What? Lies, sir.
If you want to get personal, Thor 2, come on.
Well, okay. See, he said Thor 2. That's the correct answer. I'll accept Thor 2 as the correct answer, but not WandaVision. That's crazy. That's nonsense. But I did watch the Snyder Cut on Friday. I watched like the first hour and 45 minutes of it, and then I was like, dude, I cannot watch like an entire movie length of just setup like in one sitting.
I will say this. Even though I watched about 2 hours of it, it was a fast 2 hours.
It was like one of those things where, it was pretty fast, but once it got into like hour and a half territory, like, and they're still setting up the story, it's just like, what fucking movie is this? like I don't really think it qualifies. The Saturday I watched the rest of it, right? I don't think it really qualifies as a movie. It was more like it qualifies as like a mutant, disjointed, like art piece or something. I don't know.
It should have been broken up into 2, if not maybe 4 pieces.
2 pieces would have been all right, like it would have made more sense. It did so much disjointed fan service. So like, have you read the spoilers? Are you aware of the characters that are in this movie, Tony?
I just saw the Red Letter review for it, so I know everything that happens in it, so.
No. Okay, so Martian Manhunter shows up for like no reason.
Yeah, inexplicably for no reason. It's like,
it's like twice.
Sure would have been nice if he was in the movie instead of Cyborg, who's barely.
Yeah. Well, especially when you consider the actor, but yeah, I would agree. It's more, but at the same time, I was like, oh, this doesn't need to be in here. The Joker thing, the Joker was like a dream sequence, and it's like you'll watch it, Tony. If you haven't watched it, but you obviously read the spoiler, you haven't watched all the way through. It's like the last thing you get to before the credits. And it's like, it should have just been after the credits, but I think they were just like, fuck you, we're not turning a hole in MCU. But really, it's the kind of thing that, like, you do put it after the credits. So, I don't know. It wasn't, there was like a good 20 minutes of the last part of the movie that, like, totally shouldn't have been in there. It definitely felt a little bit like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, where it was just like 30 minutes of like, man, you could have ended this movie 30 minutes ago, but you keep going. For some reason, you just keep on going.
I think they're hoping with all this buzz and goodwill now that they could continue with this continuity and Zack Snyder as the director.
Actually, I heard Warner Brothers said this is not canon. Actually, they said that the original is canon.
We'll see.
It's like
It does
whatever.
well, if it does well enough, I can imagine they're going to change their tune.
But how do they measure that, really? Though I guess the internet does.
How many people have seen the video?
Yeah, they're able to tell like how many people watch it physically, right? So yeah. But okay. I'll say this because I obviously went to task on Snyder a couple episodes ago. Like, it is very apparent to me that the biggest problem with Justice League was not Joss Whedon, because that's an idiot answer. It was not Joss Whedon. Man's a fucking genius. Even if he is like, even that doesn't make him like a morally good person. He's a fucking genius. It wasn't his fault. Maybe it wasn't Snyder's fault either. Maybe not totally, in the magical world where we can have like a 4.5 hour like comic book movie in theaters. Maybe it wasn't Snyder's fault either. But it's always like the Warner Brothers studio. They really are the biggest factor in contributing to a bad DC superhero movie. Like, they don't understand their characters. They understand their characters even less than Zack Snyder understands the character of Superman. They just don't understand it. So, they're getting a little bit better in recent years. I think after how much of a failure Justice League was initially, they're trying to like rectify. Aquaman was pretty good, and I liked Wonder Woman 84, though some people panned it. What was it? Shazam. Shazam is good. So there's a couple DC good movies lately, but yeah, just got to get that studio. That's why Marvel Comics, got away from their studio of like not knowing how to treat their characters and made their own fucking studio. In 2008 with Iron Man, and ever since then, it's like they haven't had anything to look back on. Basically, that's only been success since then, except for maybe Thor 2. And now my light's out. So,
oh boy.
That's not good.
Did your light bulb burn out?
What?
Your light bulb
this light bulb can be a little finicky. So I don't know if we want to pause it or if we just want to see
what. It's fine. We'll just keep it going.
Okay. Well, I could talk. I think Well, anyway. All that being said, since I am talking about MCU,
I think what the general consensus is, the bar was so low with Justice League.
This is a very odd episode of Not Keeping It Real, folks.
Yeah, I know.
So, Your light's off too, but I don't know if that's like something that's really coming up on screen or not. But
no, we can see you just fine. Don't worry.
All right, whatever. It's cool. Go ahead, Tony.
No, it's one of those things where the bar was set so low that this movie is okay, if not kind of good. And that's a big deal for a lot of people because, like I said, the bar's been set so low in the wake of Batman versus Superman, the original release of this video, or the original release of this movie. I felt like if this movie was halfway decent, people would say it was a winner. And that's basically what it is. It's just an okay to kind of good movie that, because people were expecting garbage. It's like, oh, it wasn't, therefore it's good. It's like, well, I don't know if we should be grading on that kind of curve, but I guess it is what it is.
Well, it's got a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think after watching it, I watched the second part with some friends, and all that good stuff, and they seem to like it like slightly more than I did, but I couldn't like knock it too hard. Although it does like again evade the laws of a normal film in that it's super long and you just got to do whatever the fuck you wanted to do and introduce characters that like really are just like, yeah, everybody wants to see a scene with Martian Manhunter, but like, is that necessary to the film? Like, it's like it's more just like here's your cheap pop, basically. But that being said, I would give it a 60 on Rotten Tomatoes just because I'm feeling very generous. So, I give it like a slight thumbs up. And that's like a way big, hey, Batman versus Superman got 29%. So,
That's why I said the bar's really low, and the fact that this movie was better than that, so everyone sees it as a giant winner, and it's like, well, not really. It's just better. Doesn't mean it's great or nothing.
Let's get away from this conversation. Let's talk about a giant winner, Falcon and Winter Soldier. What did you think, Tony?
I feel like I can't.
So that's what you think. No. I like that you're cynical. So go ahead.
No, I feel like I can't talk about this series without talking about WandaVision. This is everything that the Marvel cinematic universe on a streaming app should be.
Oh,
It was great. It was really good. It's everything that it should be. You know, big budget scene, big action sequence. It's like, okay, that's what I want. With characters that I know and recognize, and in a world that I recognize. Whereas WandaVision was very much a single focus thing, and it's like, okay, that's great and all, but I'd like all the characters and in world that I've seen before. And WandaVision kind of felt like a thing that was off to the side, whereas this feels like mainstream MCU. We're going to throw a lot of money at this show. We're going to do a lot of character work. We're going to pick up where the movies left off. And it's like, this is what I imagined it should have been from the get-go. Had they done the order the other way, I think people would have been more forgiving a WandaVision slow startup. Had they just started off with this series, everyone would have been a lot more hyped with the MCU on Disney Plus going forward.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah. I mean, I still think artistically, you start with WandaVision because she's like the bridge from MCU film to MCU television, and also like a tribute to great television. So there's that. So like as just an artist vision, but there were so many people, including yourself and a lot of people, that were just like the first few episodes of WandaVision, like, dude, like this is it, And while I wasn't one of those people, I was like, just I can wait, and everything will work out. Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier is much more like what you would expect, and it's a 6-episode series. It's like I think the first episode was like 50 minutes long. So it's like a little fuller, a little more like traditional, like action drama show, hour long show on TV. But the special effects, the fighting scenes and all that, the opening, obviously, with Falcon just like flying through and attacking these different jets and shit, like that was just awesome. And that was definitely like that you could easily see in a cinema, the way they shot that. I like what they're doing with the story. I think it's topical as well, but without being preachy. And I like that there's like, spoiler, because we won't really talk too much about really what's going on, but by the very end, like there's because Falcon decided like, I'm not going to be, what is that? Okay. Falcon decided I'm not going to be Captain America. That's not the role for me. Steve Rogers is Captain America. Well, like the system decided like, okay, well, if you don't want to fill that role, we'll find somebody that does. And so just some random ham and egger runs in there and he's Captain America. So I like that. I thought it's very like when you watch like the first 15 minutes, you think like, okay, well, this won't be like WandaVision because like it's going to be mostly action and it'll probably have like a decent story, but nothing too great. And I actually am really into the story right now, so I think pretty cool. So they're hitting on all cylinders. We will weekly talk about this show, so more in-depth analysis on that. But let's talk about let's talk about the WWE system or situation right now. I gotta say, I'm a little happier after watching Fastlane, and you know the reason why?
No, explain.
Oh, well, I'm a massive Daniel Bryan fan, and you do know this about me. And I didn't think he was going to be figured into the world title picture at all. And at this point, if they don't, like that, like it will literally not make any sense in like WWE way, and also just a normal wrestling writing way, because he basically just turned Edge heel. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns had a fantastic match. It was the only good match really on the show, but it was a really good 30-minute match. Great world title match. Had a shitty ending because Daniel Bryan had Roman in like the yes lock, and then because he accidentally hit Edge earlier in the match with a chair, Edge like just blasted Daniel Bryan several times after once he got recovered from that. Cost Daniel Bryan the match. Roman Reigns retains, but at this point, it kind of reminded me of the '97 SummerSlam situation with Brett, Shawn, and Undertaker, where you had Shawn Michaels as a babyface referee that accidentally hits Undertaker with a chair, and if he doesn't count the 3, like he doesn't wrestle again in the WWF. And in Edge's case, he was just bitter that Daniel Bryan, and hit him with the chair, and he's bitter that he even had the shot in the first place because they've been building up to this. And now Edge, I think, would be considered a heel. I mean, he's a heel. So you can't really two heels in a big world title match go head to head. So Daniel Bryan's got to get back in there somehow. And that's why I'm happier after having watched this, because I did not think Daniel Bryan was going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. But
yeah, exactly.
It looks that way. It very much looks that way.
I'm under the impression that everything is kind of fluid with that WrestleMania card, so I can't tell you one way or another. I'm under the impression that they still got some TV between now and Mania, so they may wind up doing something with Edge and Bryan, or Bryan and Roman, and it's a cage, and Roman gets his definitive win, or something. They're gonna do something. I maybe they're putting Bryan in there because just Edge isn't just like, maybe he got hurt, or maybe he just can't go 100%, and they're looking, well, let's put Bryan in there to do the technical, just basically do all the heavy lifting should they have at Match at Mania. It's like you can have Edge literally just be there, and you can literally say it's a three-way, but when in fact all the nuts and bolts of the match will probably be focused around Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns.
I mean, I think Edge can go probably, but like, I think the thought might have been with putting Daniel in there from a non, let's just make David happy and put Daniel Bryan in there, but just like a bigger picture scenario is like, hey, we get like a lot of shit from our fans about all our part-time guys that we bring in and put in the world title matches and and actually gives them an out. So basically they're like, oh, we had to have somebody because we have a live audience. It's been over a year. Let's Daniel Bryan be our regular guy that everybody will cheer for. And he'll be the guy that, I don't know, the fans can cheer for, basically, because they're not going to cheer for Edge that much like they could, because he's a part-timer, and a lot of our diehard fans that fill out a WrestleMania crowd will just shit on it a little bit, And Edge is also really smart, and he might have been the one that's like, hey, I would like to work both of them, actually. Let's do that, because he hasn't worked Daniel Bryan before, and he, who wouldn't want to work with Daniel Bryan, basically, as a wrestler? I also think that he might be, we say that, but it might also be like a Hogan like move where it's like, you kind of manipulate the situation where, guess what, brother? Maybe Edge won't have to job if Roman Reigns is still the champion at the end of the match. Maybe, whoever wins the match might end up pinning Daniel Bryan.
It could be their way. No, I see what you're saying now. It could be their way of protecting Roman.
Or Edge. I don't know how to call that match. I don't know.
I don't think, the thing is, Edge is not a full-timer. You don't really need to protect Edge. If he loses this,
they protect the full-timers.
Huh?
They protect their full-timers, though, I gotta say.
I'm more in the impression that they want to put the belt on Edge, but they don't want to beat Roman, so they're going to put Bryan in there. I was thinking maybe the reason why they set this up was for TV, but Mania is April 10th. So it's right around the corner. We're talking what, 3 weeks?
2.5 weeks, 3 weeks basically from Fastlane. So
yeah, so it can't be to do a TV feud between now and Mania, because you'd want to spend those 3 SmackDowns setting stuff up for Mania.
Right.
So it could in fact be a 3-way. Then again, you know what? You could throw this all away. WWE does some whacking booking sometimes that doesn't make any sense. You always have to take that into the equation as well.
I'm going to step out for a sec. Why don't you start talking about the card of Fastlane, because that's our main event. That's what the main focus today. And I'm going to try to figure out this light situation. We're just give me 90 seconds. Just you start talking about the show, what else was on the show, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so what you got to do.
Yeah.
I remember going forward to this Fastlane pay-per-view, and I was not looking forward to it, because I'm just like, I see what's on the card, and yeah, maybe Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns might be good. But the rest of the card, especially with the Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton, it's like, come on. I understand for some reason why you feel obligated to do these pay-per-views. It's like, okay, well, we have slotted a pay-per-view in March, and we got to do it anyway, even though we kind of just did one with the Elimination Chamber, so we have to crank out and roll out with something. And really, the big matches may have not been all that interesting, but I started watching the show and all the things that were booked on it, and match after match is like, hey, this not only does this make sense logical booking wise, but this is actually a fairly good match. So once I got the entire card, I was like, hey, this isn't that bad. Some stuff kind of felt like filler. The fact that we got Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks and what's her name?
Wait, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax,
Tag title
retained.
match.
Oh,
They did that again from the Rumble, and it's like, or from whatever. I think.
yeah, Bianca Belair and Sasha.
Yeah,
they did that. Rumble was Elimination Chamber. So.
They did that match again. And I was like, okay, this match is gonna be like this pay-per-view is like 3-4 hours. You could have cut that out and just made it a 3-hour show. But
I mean, it was 2:45.
So say what?
Yeah. This Fastlane pay-per-view was 2:45 if you don't include the pre-show, which like
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So I guess they just wanted it as a filler because it's like, okay, we're gonna run this again with more or less a very similar finish. Okay, I don't get it, but the rest of the card I thought was fine. It was serviceable. All the matches made sense. All the matches were good, and it was a welcome surprise from WWE. Usually, you get these pay-per-views and they sort of just crap out stuff you've seen before just because we have a pay-per-view slot, so we have to do one. But it's like, nah, they put on enough interesting stuff that it didn't feel like a waste of time. It didn't feel like, I guess in the grand scheme it was a waste of time, but bell to bell it was a fun time.
Did you get through like the whole pay-per-view in 90 seconds? Is that what happened? Yeah.
I did my overall thoughts on the show.
Gotcha. Well, we're gonna work with what light we have here, but in this particular room, don't worry, folks. I did pay my electricity. It's not because I lost money on AMC, but it's just like something wrong with this room.
Oh, the fact that you're still streaming is proof that you still have electricity.
Good point. Although I had to charge my computer though too. That was another tricky thing, behind the scenes. That I was like, oh, I only have a little bit of juice on my computer. I'm going to go through the card because I think we got to fill up time anyway. So I'm going to. I probably have longer thoughts on the event. All right. So Matt Riddle is apparently working a Jeff Spicoli gimmick, which I didn't totally. I don't think I knew in the back of my mind that he was doing that, but I didn't know. I hadn't seen him work a promo yet with it, so I was like, okay, like that's kind of like he's a bimbo. I got it. But he beat Mustafa Ali, and then the Reckoning turned on Mustafa Ali because he got all mad at the Reckoning, and I don't keep up with like the weeklies, so I don't really.
Well,
care
it's
about
just this fun. It was one of those things that WWE never really committed to the idea of that group, and it really wasn't all that great a group from the get-go. So it makes sense to let's just kill it off now. It never got over. We never committed to it. It doesn't really do much more for Mustafa Ali and everybody else in the group. So let's just end it.
When I read reviews, it's very often it's like, yeah, please end this. There's a lot of that going on. So, but yeah, good enough. Make some people happy, I'm sure. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler beating Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks in 9:45.
Again.
This was just like TV match. Like it was just like whatever. It was nothing.
We gotta fill up a 3-hour card, 2:45. Let's just throw this match up there again.
I mean, part of me when Bianca Belair won the Rumble, I was like, well, okay, but like I wanted.
You're mad at
Sorry.
Sorry, when Bianca Belair won the Women's Royal Rumble, I was like, we get it. You're mad at Rhea Ripley, and you're gonna punish her this way, but.
Yeah, that's the reason why. What'd she do?
I don't know. It's one of those things where you speculate, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Rhea Ripley is really over. She's a star. She's won the NXT Women's Championship, so she should be making that next level step.
Yeah.
But it's like you keep setting her up and then pulling it away from us. So it's like she's clearly doing something that we don't know about, and they're doing all this just to punish her. But we just
being awesome all the time. That's probably what the problem is. I'm a big fan of Rhea Ripley.
I jokingly say, and this is a joke, and I'm just speculating here. There's no basis in fact, but she probably said no to the wrong person.
Oh, jeez. What is she? What is Joss Whedon working in the WWE now? What's going on there? But, no, I don't think that was it. But yeah, I like Rhea Ripley. I was bummed out when she wasn't part of the Rumble or didn't win the Rumble because that was like basically what everybody thought was going to happen, and I was like, yes, that's my girl, But that didn't happen. And Bianca Belair is one of those characters that like I literally have not recalled her being in a legit
Great match.
like 4-star or better match, like a really good match. She came from NXT for a couple years there. I think she had a pretty good match with Shayna Baszler when on a takeover once. But in general, it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. And I almost want to completely dump on it, but it's like, okay, well, you're trying to make new stars. So, like that's fine. Whatever. You got to push somebody that's new, I guess. Not Rhea Ripley, apparently, but maybe Rhea Ripley eventually. So I'm trying to look up right now the Raw results because we were shooting this right after, well, actually during the West Coast feed of Raw. And I don't know, man. Like, oh, okay, here we go. So Asuka versus, the following matches were listed for WrestleMania Sunday. Okay, this is what I wanted to find out. First of all, they're still listing Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship. No Daniel Bryan, but that's bullshit. That's going to happen. But they did list tonight because I knew Rhea Ripley was supposed to make her debut. I don't see a match result for her, but I do see that they announced Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. So basically, while they could have made a much bigger impact if they just made her debut at the Rumble, they're going to go the same direction anyways. They're just going to put her with Asuka, which that match is going to be really good. So
yeah. I think that comes off the news of Charlotte Flair testing positive for COVID-19.
Oh, is that correct? See, you know all the news because he's your Meltzer guy. That's what.
The thing is, I don't watch as much wrestling nearly as much as you do, and it just so happen to know all this stuff.
I watch Wednesdays, man. I watch Wednesdays, and I would go to a show if it was not COVID. But yeah, I watch Wednesdays and I watch pay-per-views. So. So I'm just looking at. So when did she test for it?
I believe earlier today.
Oh shit! Well, there you go. That's why we heard 2 days ago that Rhea Ripley was debuting on Raw, and she didn't even have a match. But they're like, yeah, she's gonna fight Asuka.
I get the feeling that the plan was for her to debut on the main roster formally the day after Mania, because that's where you do the big call-ups to the main roster, usually the day after Mania. And they
give her
a deal.
Basically, by giving her a 3-month vacation, I'm sure Rhea wouldn't have a problem with that. But it's she was on NXT, but that's a good way to go. But yeah, I'm really glad she's on WrestleMania. And speaking of Charlotte, is she dating Andre?
I believe she's engaged. Yes.
Okay, so he got released recently. He asked for his release and he got it. Where do you think he's? Oh, you don't watch as much wrestling as me. Where would you like to see him go, Tony?
Selfishly, always I'm going to say AEW and New Japan.
Yeah,
because our ROH is an afterthought. But my friend brought up the fact that lots of his friends from CMLL are in honor. You have Rush is their world champion, so you may wind up seeing something there. He may wind up, being a well-sought-after talent in Mexico and AAA or CML. You never know. I love the way the outside WWE circuit now is set up, where before it used to be you had to either be locked up in TNA or ROH. Now you can kind of work everywhere. Yeah,
you really can, and especially if you're not in the WWE, obviously. But yeah, and nowadays I will say it appears that if you're a WWE star and you're just dissatisfied, you don't have to wait 3 years. You just be like, dude, can you please release me? And maybe eventually they'll let you go if they've already killed your character in a good portion of your career. If they've pretty much destroyed you, then they're like, yeah, you can go now. So but the Good Brothers are having a good rebound off of that, so they're fine. So what else was Fastlane? Big E and Apollo Crews. Did Vince McMahon watch Coming to America recently? Is that what happened? Or Apollo Crews is working in this which I think he legitimately
he is legitimately of that background. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but but now they decided to do it, so I'm just that movie just came out, and I know Vince, he likes old comedies. So,
that's why I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, you're blowing this off at Fastlane and not Mania? Because they kind of set both guys up as kind of big deals. Big E as the Intercontinental Champion and Apollo Crews with his new gimmick. I was like, whoa, this is kind of a hot program to be thrown away on just a C pay-per-view. It's okay, I'm not complaining.
We're going to give you a weird, fluky finish to it, and it'll be the third time that Big E's beaten Apollo Crews, apparently, in recent weeks. But not the first time under the character, though. the new character.
Yeah,
But,
it's. I mean, to be fair, it is kind of a new thing when it's a new gimmick.
yeah. So Braun Strowman beat Elias in like 3 minutes. That was like a nothing thing. I guess we're getting Braun Strowman, Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. So whatever. Might see Shane do a fun stunt. That's what that match is. Seth Rollins beat Nakamura. This was like decent, but like could have been better because But then what can you expect? Like really at a Nakamura in the WWE, like this is all right. Like this. Nakamura is amazing, but like WWE, they do not know how to use him at all. So
well, I mean, also let's be honest. Part of the reason why he signed with WWE is because he realized it's a lot lighter style than New Japan.
Yeah, all he has to do is like to dance around like Jeff Hardy and like and go in the ring and give about 50% of the effort that he did in New Japan. It's his he would never accept 100% of the effort out of him. Like WWE they would tell him to scale back, brother. Like if he was going 100%. So
no, it's basically this is his retirement program.
Oh, is it?
I'm just. That's what people jokingly say. It's like, okay, well,
all the
years were in New Japan, but now he's coming to WWE basically to just kick back and get paid a lot of money to do very well.
McIntyre and Sheamus. A lot of people like this match. I was pretty bored with it, but it was like 20 minutes. McIntyre beat Sheamus. So.
That's another match that's been built up on TV that I'm surprised they're just throwing away on.
Well, they've had it on TV for like at least 2 other weeks, and somebody was saying like a lot of people liked it, but somebody was saying like that was pretty good, but like I liked one of the Raw matches better. So just like, I mean, they got to like build Drew up a little bit, and it was a shit way to use Sheamus. And I don't know what long-term plans they have for Sheamus. They could have good long-term plans for him, but like in general, he's really been like in the mid-card for several years now. So I don't know, what they're going to do with him. But I know he jobbed out to Bobby Lashley, I think, tonight on the opener for Raw. But anyway, I heard it was like a 10-minute match though. Alexa Bliss defeated Randy Orton. I called this when somebody asked me who I thought was going to win. I knew Alexa Bliss would. And it was gimmicky. It was kind of shitty. It was a little bit Ultimate Warrior 92 with Papa Shango with the black vomit coming out of Randy Orton's mouth. It was a little bit of I guess like Human Torch-ish, or zombie-ish with the Fiend coming back from under the ring, but he's all burnt up now. It was something. It's like one of those things where it kind of keeps your interest a little bit, but like it's nothing great. And you're happy you haven't been watching this fucking program for like months on TV, like that's like at least from what
the fallout would happen with this match.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, I'll tell you about the big fallout while you look up the photo of Alexa Bliss pinning Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, I saw her pin. I saw it with my own eyes, man.
Did you see how she pinned him?
It's a little bit.
Randy Orton's wife didn't much appreciate it.
Well, fuck that bitch. What's her problem? Fucking prick.
Josh Whedon fan over here, buddy.
What?
I'm just.
You trying to keep a PG show here? Is that what you're saying? What? So yeah, she was like, on him a little bit. I mean, I saw her. I know she was like sprawled on him a little bit, but her character is kind of like that, I mean, it made sense, but his wife didn't like it. Okay. I mean, she was a McMahon, there'd be hell to pay, but, she's just like some wife.
Let's put it this way. If Alexa Bliss pinned you like that, you'd be a happy man.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. I thought it was normal. Like, I don't know. I watch a lot of like, 90s wrestling on the rewatch, and right. I mean, I watch the Attitude Era fairly regularly these days, and it just looked like what a woman might do in an intergender match that was like demonic and out of her mind. She like was just like on him. Was she on top of his face? I thought she was like on top of his chest.
She's on top of his crotch, dude.
Well, that seems normal. I don't know. that's pretty regular. I don't know. I gotta see this. Okay. So while this will be an interactive part of our show, While I'm looking this up, folks, you look it up too. So I'm gonna.
Let's just put it this way: you could put a Brazzers logo on the bottom of the left-hand screen and be like, "Okay, this seems appropriate."
You know what? Put this pin on put it on like our YouTube, like the very beginning. The cover photo of our podcast.
Got it.
I don't know. That's mellow. I don't know. What is she, like a fucking Quaker or something? Like this one's wife. That he's on his chest. Well, maybe his like crotch area. I can't really tell in this photo. It looks like she's on his chest. So.
Sitting on his crotch.
Well, believe me, she's not interested in Randy. She just playing a character. Like, she got her own. She got Buddy Murphy, maybe still, right? I don't know.
No, they broke up.
Oh, so she's single, free to mingle, eh?
I believe she's engaged to somebody else.
Who? Some non-wrestler?
Yeah, non-wrestler.
See, she's very smart. She's engaged smart then, She's not dating within the WWE talent pool anymore, dating now on the regular humans in the world. So good for her. And yeah, she's just playing a character, folks. So yeah. Sorry, Miss Orton, but I don't have a problem with it. But then, Roman Reigns, Edge, that was like the one match that you should have on a pay-per-view, and then everything else, it would have mattered if it happened or not, basically. So, I give the show like a 5.5. It's a one-match show.
I'm a lot more generous. I thought there was enough for this pay-per-view. They gave us enough stuff where this is a C-level show, and they gave us a lot more than they used to on a C-level show. I gotta give it 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's very kind.
For what it was, in a vacuum, obviously not, but for what it was, a C-level pay-per-view a month before Mania. Usually I expect just a one-match card, like you said, but I felt like I got enough to where, okay, this was a decent C-level pay-per-view.
What are we doing on time here?
We got about 9 minutes left to go.
9 minutes? Okay, that's cool, man, because I want to talk about ROH, because that show you totally don't watch. But I do, and the reboot has been very good. And they have a pay-per-view coming up this Friday. Cool. And I want to ask you, like, I'll just ask your basic opinion as I run down the card. Is this something you think that's worth reviewing? If you're allowed to say no, and we won't. But if you listen to the card and you're like, oh yeah, I would like to see that, then we'll watch that.
See what we got.
Yeah. So let's see what Wikipedia has to say about it.
What does Wikipedia have to say on this paper? The fact that you're going to Wikipedia, though, to look up this card. The fact that you don't know the card off the top of your head.
I know some of the matches, but I don't want to get in trouble here.
While you do that, tell me some of the matches you know, then.
Rouge. I already got it up here. Rouge versus Jay Lethal. So you have the greatest Ring of Honor World Champion, arguably, of all time, because he's had the most days of anybody, and he's like a 2-time, 3-time champ. I don't know. He's had it multiple times. Jay Lethal challenging Rouge, working that heel gimmick, and he's been champion for a long time too. He's been champion for like 13 months after he beat PCO last February. So that'll be cool. They have this whole feud going on between his faction and Jay Lethal's faction. And honestly, I don't remember the name of the factions.
So ring an endorsement of this pay-per-view and then bring on our product, Dave.
Well, let's be honest. I've been a Ring of Honor fan. My first show was in 2004. ROH is my favorite promotion, basically. But dude, I can't be bothered, to keep up with everything you got going on. And a lot of the fans out there that would even listen to this part, they're not diehards either, probably. So fuck it. All right, EC3 versus Jay Briscoe. Did you even know EC3 is in Ring of Honor, Tony?
No, and that's not a good sign.
For GC3 or
just for Ring of Honor? I'll admit that main event sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's gonna that'll be a good match for sure. But best match, yeah, I don't know, because I like EC3 okay, but Dragon Lee and Tracy Williams. Now that's going to be a really good match too. That's for the TV title. Dragon Lee's phenomenal. Tracy Williams is getting better and better the last few months I've seen him. So I think that's a good match. Yeah. La Faction Incomparable, which is what Rush is the leader of. But they are the tag team champions, Dragon Lee and Kenny King. So Dragon Lee doing double duty, as Jonathan Gresham did at Final Battle. because he's a singles champion. He's also one half of the tag team champions. They, of course, won it off of Lethal and Gresham. But they're going to wrestle Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams. So wait a minute. Tracy Williams and wrestle. And I didn't know that. Wait a minute. The Foundation, Rhett Titus, and Tracy Williams. So Tracy Williams is wrestling 2 matches. And they're just, I guess that gives a fair advantage to both guys. You know, if they're going to have 2 separate matches. Because I don't know about that. But that'll be good. No, well, that'll be okay. I'm really looking forward to one-on-one Lee versus Tracy Williams match, but that tag match, whatever.
I think I'll check out the main event, and you can give us your review of the show.
Is that what we're going to – okay, well, let me run down the rest of this card, Tony. Come on. Don't.
Okay,
so,
we're running out of time. We got 5 minutes left.
I can get this done. Matt Taven versus Vincent, that's not anything to brag about. That's definitely skippable. Mark Briscoe versus Flip Gordon. Flip Gordon's an asshole. Let me tell you something. He's working a heel gimmick now. That guy is like an anti-masker. He's a big conspiracy. He thinks the Earth is flat, Tony. All right? He thinks the Earth is flat. No good, man. He's a classic heel. He's going to wrestle Mark Briscoe. I think that'll be okay. Jonathan Gresham defends the pure title against Dak Draper. I like Dak Draper. He's an up-and-coming wrestler. He won the Top Prospect 2019, I think. And Gresham, you know, like that's a big step for Dak. So good for him. When Gresham's in the ring and it's a pure title match, it's going to be good. So that'll be all right. Dalton Castle versus Josh Woods. That'll be pretty good too. And what else? On the pre-show, yeah, this isn't really anything.
Maybe give us a 5-minute review, Dave.
The pre-show is going to have this one actually was good. Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor, Khan, and Moses defended 6-man world tag team titles against Mexican Squad, Bandito, Flamita, and Ray Horse. So that'll be a good match. And we don't have to talk about the Downhouse and 4 Corner Survival match. So, you know, that's also on the show.
What else are we talking next week?
What?
What else are we talking next week?
That's the thing. I don't know. So
we obviously have
Falcon and Winter Soldier. We always have MCU we can talk about.
Yeah.
So tune in next week, folks. We'll definitely go more in depth about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We'll start off the show with that, and then you can leave during the wrestling talk if you're not into wrestling. Especially if you're not into like semi-obscure, I guess, indie wrestling like Ring of Honor. Because I will talk about that show, Tony, but you're not allowed. You watch the main event.
Okay, I'll definitely watch the main event, and if it's on, I got nothing else going on, I'll watch I'll pay for the show.
Yeah, good luck with that. No, Ring of Honor needs your money, so mine too, probably. Anyway, so that's it for today's episode. Next week we will have more electricity. And we will talk more about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and a bit more wrestling as well. So tune in next week, folks. Good night.